Hello, my friends, and welcome to tonight's episode of The Strength of Thousands here on twitch.tv/tabletop rolls. I am your host. Well, yes, hosting right now, but then Matt will be GMing. Will, person who owns this channel, person who runs the other games, which you can see the other games on our new overlay with the lovely schedule in the right-hand side of the overlay. Ooh woo, it's so impressive. Many applause to Matthew for that. But yes, so we have some new overlays for the next season. We'll have a new intro by the next episode, but for tonight, we are going to review, basically discuss what we thought of Book 1. We're going to ask each other some questions. We're going to level up our characters. And it's going to be a fine old night. But before we get started, we have a few announcements. That being a number of cool things happening on the channel. Like the League of Amazing Adventurers on Wednesday night. They are going through... I don't know the best way to describe our current arc in that show, but it's fun. If you like spooky and fun, and if you like spooky fun times, it's spooky fun times. Then on Friday, Matt and McKenna are here, so I can't go into great detail as to what the big twist of the next arc is going to be. But oh boy, the Calling Chronicle, they're about to go to a Fey ball, and they're about to spend the entirety of this next arc at a Fey ball. So be prepared for that. And then on Sunday, we have a new series for the next few weeks. I'm playing Not for Broadcast through on the channel. It's a really good game. Matt came and watched. Matt can attest to this. The story's somewhat interesting. Matt, what do you think?
There is a growing underlying unease about the whole thing. But I must say I do appreciate the effort they put into kind of the mechanics of the game. It's like an interesting mix of like the most complex parts of like Five Nights at Freddy kind of thing, where you're stuck in a single location, but you have various things to manage. But
you can't hear Matt.
Going on, then
They can't hear Matt. Oh.
Uh-oh.
That's my bad. I muted. I had it muted from the last stream. Still.
Oh.
Ooh.
How about now, everyone? Let me tell you about the difference between robots and mechs.
Oh, we're not doing this again.
But yeah, so Matt, why don't you restart your little monologue?
I just think it is a very interesting game in that it's pretty different from most things you'll come across. It is kind of like the next kind of logical evolution from the kind of Five Nights at Freddy model, where you're just sitting there and managing things, but now they've added stuff, and they've added live actors doing bits and stuff, including, and I don't use this word often, a terribly cringe-inducing theatrical performance by students.
Oh, are the actors bad?
The actors are not bad. It's intentionally just like
cringe.
This is like
Oh, it's
because
camp.
they're within the show at one point. They're interviewing this group of students from a high school who put together a play that was directed and written by a person who is a math teacher. And it's like an sort of like bullying thing and solidarity thing, but it's just so cheesily acted. It's intentionally bad because these are like bad student actors who have never acted before.
Gotcha.
And I think one of them doesn't actually know where he is.
I will say the acting in it so far has been really good.
That's good.
Like, the main characters are really solid.
Thank you, Mark.
It's good. It's a solid show. Come and watch that. If you want some like narrative heavy stuff and you want to see what Crazy Neil will get up to next in their ads, I'm running all of the Crazy Neil ads because Crazy Neil is my spirit animal today.
Out of curiosity, Matt, how would you class the Evangelion mechs?
That is an interesting question. I would still classify them as mechs because without external stimuli, they don't seem to do anything on their own.
I think the like 2 pilot episodes would.
To be fair, I have not seen in the entirety of Evangelion in any of its forms. I've seen 2 of the newer movies. I never saw the third one. It took a long time to come out. It probably is. It's freaking Evangelion. It's like Cowboy Bebop. You at least have to see it once.
I think the honest answer is that they are not robots or mechs. They are metaphors for mental illness.
I mean, they can be both.
That's the story of Evangelion. I just wanted Matt's opinion on that. Sorry for the tangent.
Anyway, I mean, we did have mechs in Strengths of Thousands. They were essentially
What a nice
wooden suits of
way.
armor.
They had little...
Okay,
Wood
but
mechs.
on that note, we're going to jump right into the intro, and then we will get going on the rest of the session. It looks like we might be having some small audio glitch because of something going wrong in the background, but I will try to fix that during the intro if it hasn't been fixed. And here we go. Oh,
Uh-oh.
I have the buttons beside each other.
Hello?
Did you start the intro again?
No, I hit the regular RP screen and not the 3-player one.
Fair enough.
Yes, we are
Oh,
getting a
God.
new intro, Mark. It's just not done yet. Chat, is anyone else experiencing? Is there any sort of lag behind us on our audio? Please let us know if there is. Have that off.
I'm so sorry.
No,
It's
I
okay.
love it.
I don't, because the owners leave that dog for hours and hours and hours, and that's all he does.
All right,
So, PSA, if you're a dog owner, don't fucking do that.
Okay,
Don't
it
do
seems
that.
okay.
Don't do this.
cool. Syncing is good. We're fine. All
But
right.
anyway.
So, Matt, I believe
So-
you wanted to start things off with a question for all of us.
Well, first, as is tradition, I'm just going to go around the metaphorical table, so to speak. I am Matthew, Urbanoff at various places on the internet, and I am the DM or GM, whichever floats your boat, for these Pathfinder 2nd Edition Adventure Path, The Strength of Thousands. We have just completed the first book, Kindled Magic. And by we, I mean these lovely people around me, much more lovely than I. And speaking of lovely, tonight we have a dark beauty among us with her piercing gaze and dark lipstick. So, funny
Hi,
if I pivoted to
everybody.
Will.
Yeah, I was like, Will, nice. Hi, I'm Zoe. I go by Zosie Pose on the internet. It was a wild ride playing Ophelia or Whisper Elf Bard. More shenanigans to come in the next book.
And speaking of shenanigans, cults or shenanigans, Will.
Did somebody say cultist?
Well, no, actually, but
I am playing Igara, the Gripply Summoner, and also healer. I guess de facto healer, as much as a healer as I can be. But yeah, I'm going to swap things over to the lovely map overlay screen that we have, as it actually has Book 2's cover page up on it right now.
I wonder why.
I wonder why I like this one. Not only is it written by one of my favorite authors in the space right now, Quinn Murphy, who's amazingly talented when it comes to design and is just like a generally very cool person, but also look at that Gripply.
He looks a little malnourished, honestly. I think he could eat a few more fly burgers.
That's fair. But yeah, that's
It's like
Igara.
season 7, Sarah Michelle Gellar, opposed to season 1.
Excuse me. But yeah, that's Igora. We're a summoner. We heal. We try to stay up so we can take punches and spells and other things for our friends. And more often than not, we do not get the chance to do that. Because somebody likes to crit.
And speaking of being critted in unfortunate moments, Arcana, who do you play?
I play a goddamn fool almost every single day, but on Mondays, I play Avi Avi,
I love you.
the Batfolk Witch. And she was just having a good old time at school. Just bouncing around and learning facts and smacking bugs.
And speaking of that, so yes, the first book of Strength of Thousands was our introduction very much to the Magambia and sort of how school life is going to go from now on. Admittedly, things are probably going to get stranger and stranger as we deepen our understanding of some of the mysteries that are surrounding the school right now. We solved more or less what seemed to be the source of the gremlin attacks on the school, which was Stone Ghost, a ex-student who had been consumed by bitterness and thoughts of vengeance. But the lingering question of what is drawing all these insects to the school remains. And as we are doing sort of a kind of, not a wrap-up episode, because we've got much more adventures ahead of us, but kind of a pause and reflect episode in between the books, I wanted to put the question to the chat, what they thought so far of the book, and what direction did they think the adventure is going to take from here on out. Let's start with the person who looked thoughtful the most for a second there, McKenna. Sorry to put you on the spot.
I thought it was really interesting as far as modules. I haven't played any APs before, but I have played modules. And this one is definitely up there as one of the more interesting modules, both conceptually and in execution. Initially, I loved the concept. I mean, magic schools are classic. They're a lot of fun. And this one was really original in terms of setting. And in terms of philosophy, you did get a lot of the, like, community-centered vibe throughout the length of the book, at least so far. I hope that continues because I liked that quite a lot. I think that kind of focus is nice in a tabletop RPG because I think it reflects quite a lot of what makes table RPGs fun, is that, like, sense of community. So I thought that had a lot of, like, philosophical synergy, which are not two words I would normally put together. And then in terms of, like, the mechanics, I liked a lot of the social things. My one criticism is that I wish there was a little bit more variety in terms of the enemies. It was bugs and gremlins for almost the whole book.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, like, I know that we're little babies. I know that we're little baby level 1s, level 2s, level 3s, and there's not a lot of things that they can throw at us without just straight up killing us. And they almost did a good many times this book. But I was itching for a little bit more variety. Outside of that, though, I think this is the most fun I've ever had in a dungeon crawl. I'm normally pretty, I don't want to say anti-dungeon crawl, but it's definitely not my favorite aspect of tabletop RPGs most of the time.
How much of that was bingey?
How much of that was bingey? I think a good dungeon crawl can always be livened up by a good, solid, fun NPC. But I think more importantly, this specific dungeon crawl was done with a party full of people that were super cooperative, and that's, I think, a deciding factor in whether or not dungeon crawls are fun. Because if you don't have a cooperative party, you just argue about whether you're going to go left or right for an hour. So this group was really fun to do the dungeon crawl with, and the dungeon crawl itself had some fun twists and turns. The secret doors were very fun. I thought the map was interesting. And the final boss was really interesting. I liked Stone Ghost. I thought he was a cool enemy.
Kind of wish they had given him a bit more hit points, but I think the ultimate encounter of the thing was meant to be the Griffins, and that one was a little harrowing.
Yeah.
It was
Two funny
almost-
things just based on what you mentioned. You were saying you were hoping things are going to open up a little bit. Within I was reading ahead for the second book, and in the first page, the phrase "sandbox" does come up. So things are going to be opening up in this next book. You guys are going to have a lot more freedom. And second, there was never the right moment to sort of mention this little bit of information. But in the little nest that Benji had that you guys came across, it is mentioned specifically in the text of the book that she has a number of little carved figurines in there that she considers her only friends before she met you guys.
Benji!
Yeah, they go out of her way to make her, and I mean this in a non-mean way, very pitiful.
Yeah, I think wanted the world to look at this character. I think they did the same thing with Ankarut and just go, "Oh, I'm adopting this one."
Brooklyn
Like-
Nine-Nine meme.
Oh, I don't know which one you're talking
Oh
about.
man, just imagine y'all if Zoe would have put that thunder blast another 5 feet to the right.
I have nightmares about it every night. I don't want to talk about it.
I would have committed Sudoku. Ophelia would have committed Sudoku right there. Sorry,
Sudoku!
bye.
That's Sudoku! That's the math puzzle! So you're thinking of seppuku.
Oh, I know. It's a joke.
Oh!
You never
It's a
heard
good
anybody
joke!
say that?
No!
I'm just picturing a visual. I will commit Sudoku, and then just sitting at a desk with a coffee. Oh, it's 5.
A fate worse than death.
Yes, for math.
But this seems like a good time to move on. Zoe, what do you think of this first chapter of the book, and where do you think things might be going, and what do you hope and dream?
Oh, a lot of things. As somebody who, hasn't done much tabletop gaming at all, this was wonderful. I really adore all the characters that we got to meet and how you could go into their rooms and really get more of a sense of the characters. They're very well rounded. I feel like we're going to be learning more and more about them too. I'm a little disappointed, that Stone Ghost was gone so fast. But I feel like we're going to learn more about that if we ever run into Kiara again, which I miss our dear Kiara, so that's what I'm looking
This makes the
forward.
heart go fonder.
That's true. But yeah, as a whole, I really enjoyed the dungeon as well. I feel like even though we did map everything out, it felt like maybe we had missed a few things. Even so.
I don't think so. I think you guys were pretty thorough, especially you did go back to the one room where you destroyed that entire group at one point with a good sound burst. And you went back and found the loot. And considering how sparse the loot was in the first chapter, I was pretty heavily trying to make sure you guys didn't miss anything.
Okay. I guess that was what made me think that we had missed things, because
Well,
right, it was sparse.
It did seem
In a way.
Well, the dungeon also just seemed big, so it's pretty easy to imagine that you missed something.
Yeah.
That was possibly one of the biggest maps I've ever seen.
Let's take a look. I'm
Especially just in
curious.
terms of how dense it was in terms of stuff.
So the map.
Well, you've created some pretty big maps, but they were mostly big to make them cool kind of mazes and stuff. This had a dozen encounters in it.
So the maps are the dungeon map that we just did was 40 tall by was 40 wide by 52 tall.
I think that's the max you can do for Roll20.
I do not know. I know that I've done a map on Roll20 that was 100 by 100 before.
Oof.
Jeepers.
For
That
an
just
old
gets
D&D
unwieldy.
campaign.
But speaking now as someone who has a lot more experience with adventure paths, both behind the DM screen and in front of it, Will, what are your thoughts?
Well, number one, playing in one run by Matt definitely makes me feel really bad about the way that I run adventure paths in my society games sometimes.
I played a long one with you, Will. I think you did an excellent job.
There was a lot of really fun stuff in this one. I loved the structure of it. And I think like for like an opening, setting up a community as like your main location, like I think that the authors did an amazing job of it. I loved the way that things kind of ramped up slowly. I liked the community service tasks that you did to like introduce you to the city outside of the school a little bit, but still keep you directly tied to the school and get an idea of what the community's relationship to this other like sub community within the larger city is. I have not read ahead, but I have been read ahead a little bit just because like when this was announced last year, I was very much looking into it because I was curious about the AP and I know where some things are going. And I'm really excited for specifically a couple of the ties that this has with another one of Paizo's systems called Starfinder, which is their sci-fi game, because we're going to get to go hang out in that, not in this next book and not for a long time.
We're going to have a very brief crossover arc in a very interesting way.
Yes. But like knowing that information, knowing like where things are going, I really love how this first book just set up. It created, I think the best way to say is it created a good solid state of the world, right? So here is the state of our world. Here's what our characters are doing. And then I think now throughout the rest of the AP, we're probably going to get like little tweaks and like little changes that throw us out of that comfort zone that we've established for ourselves.
I do think very much for this first book, they were trying to get you invested in the school, in your fellow students, and to a greater extent, the idea of the wider community.
I think they did a wonderful job.
So, eventually when our view broadens, you have a sense that this is all being tied back to the school and in an effort to, protect the school or help the school or, solve a problem with the school. And you feel invested in that because that is sort of, unfortunately, a lot of things with like week to week, say, Pathfinder Society games, where you go in and you get this mission to do something. You think, okay, I'm going to do this because I'm here for the XP or what have you. But sometimes it's kind of hard to care unless they bring in the recurring elements like the Dark Archives or, things tied to your specific lodge or what have you.
Well,
so I think it's important to try and get people invested in characters and in a setting, especially for what is potentially a long adventure path.
Fun little...
For what it's worth, I think it worked.
It did.
I think they threw us an Anchor Root and a Chizuri and a Binji and an Essie and a Miriyama, and it worked, and then Matt added extra NPCs for us to love, so it extra worked.
And extra birds.
Birds? Is that what she is? Is she a bird?
No, I mean the rooster.
Yes. How can we forget?
I didn't want to say another
Who
one.
is now combat ready.
How long did it take to get to BBC?
The rooster is now combat ready and is going to be able to fight with us.
How could we do a review episode and not talk about the BBC?
Listen, I have plans for that rooster. That rooster is going to be part of our party until we hit level 9.
Then what happens
What?
to it?
Wait till you find out. Wait till you find out it's just a true polymorphed lindworm.
At level 9, Igora gets a dragon.
I'm sorry?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a cultural thing. Don't worry about it. It's like a bat mitzvah.
Right.
At level 9, I'm getting a dragon. It's going to be good.
What bat mitzvahs have you been to, Matthew?
Some good ones, apparently.
Well, not the same. But, some people get money.
Some
others
people
get
dragons.
Yeah, I said it was a cultural thing.
Oh,
I love a good... Listen, dragon riding frogman.
I am purposely ignoring that latest comment in the chat.
I mean, it could
Almost
it could be worse. Like if I don't have the dragon properly tamed, it could be a bad dragon that Igura is riding.
I want to cry.
You know,
I want
if they wanted to sponsor us.
I want to cry and I want to go.
Could you imagine if our first sponsor was?
I'd be so okay with that.
Uh,
All right, but
God, would I have to
Anyway.
change something about the overlay?
But yeah, I really love it. I'm loving the AP. I'm loving the direction the story is going. I think like we have a really good like core group together. Like we're all working together really well. Our characters genuinely care about one another, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to, I think, apologize just if any of the creators ever hear this. I may be playing up Shazare's drunkenness just a little bit, but it seems like a fun character trait.
You gotta run with what
He
you
has a
got.
still in his room. That is canon.
He's vibing. He's
Straight
vibing.
vibing.
He is living his best school life.
You gotta add little personal touches to these things.
I think so. You know, we're not the only ones running the adventure path. We gotta have our own feel, our own interactions.
Exactly.
And it's fun because we're not the only ones running the adventure path that I at least know about. There's going to be a whole bunch of stats that we get to look at when we're done this. For example, looking at how many parties got killed by the Mushroom Man.
Oh,
There are a lot
Just
of wipes
slug
in
people in
that
the
one.
face.
There's a lot of people dying to that mushroom.
Yeah.
freaking scary, man. He's scary.
He was a mean little mushroom man, I must admit.
Mean little mushroom.
He was not a
man.
fun guy.
Did we know anyone who wiped on the pickaxe tsetse fly combo?
Oh, that was nuts.
That was a rough one.
I do
That
not
was
know
a-
anyone who's wiped on that yet.
You know anyone
Well, to be
who's-
fair, the dungeon is long, so pinpointing that specific moment in other people's playthroughs might be a little hard.
That's
Plus,
true.
people may
Although I
do it
feel
in
like
the opposite order.
gremlin with a pickaxe on a tsetse fly that's a pretty specific encounter.
And the fact
It-
that
it
they were
wouldn't have been-
fighting each other, like,
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been so bad necessarily if the tsetse fly had bucked him off a little easier.
Mhm.
But just didn't roll.
Mm-mm.
Or I didn't understand the mechanics properly. That almost happens a few times. And again, I apologize for that, for almost screwing you guys over in the tournament arc.
Me and
It just
Strength of
it
Found.
seems so counterintuitive, to me at least, that people on the sidelines could contribute like that. It seemed very counterintuitive, so I didn't pick up on it very easily.
That's fair.
But also, again, because I'm also Canadian, I feel the need to apologize again. This is my first AP that I am running, so you guys are
I didn't
kind of
know
my
that.
test group. Yes.
I didn't even know that.
I have
You're
only
killing
ever
it.
run my own silly homebrew things where I ripped off like Ravenloft, Attack on Titan, and mashed them together.
nice.
Oh, that
I
explains
love
things,
that.
guys.
We have to, maybe not right now, but I do want to hear about that at some point because what?
That's the one where I tricked my players in real life into eating cupcakes, and then I said, "All right, did everyone have one of the cupcakes?" Yes, you all now have the Wendigo curse. There was human flesh in those cupcakes,
Matthew.
and then that was the driving
Matthew.
force for the campaign. They had to try and get a cure to their Wendigo thing. And then the
Ooh.
last map, I showed off the paper of the last map, and it had the actual map of the encounter in it, but I had written all over the paper, all around the actual squares, hungry, 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 just a million times in big black marker.
I
GG.
adore
I
that.
feel the need to repeat. Jeepers.
That sounds good.
It is an interesting setting I created. It is very grim.
Fair.
Nice. Was it a
But
whole
it-
campaign or was this like a
It was a
one-shot?
whole campaign. One of the things, though, the thing to highlight was the goat my companion or my players befriended named Edith.
Edith the goat.
Always a
Or,
friend.
no,
always a companion.
It might not have been Edith. It was maybe Meredith? No, I can't remember now.
Was this pre or post Garl clones in space?
This was way, way before that. This was before I even got into Pathfinder Society. Garl was not even a twinkle in my bicep.
Straight
Ah.
to the point.
Oh, yes. I think Squishy was there. I think I did that to her.
But you'll have to tell us how the curse went.
All right, so
I don't think any of them succumbed, but yes, back to the adventure path at hand. We're all about 42 minutes in, so it's about time, I think, that we begin the level up procedures now, because having started the second book, you guys get to go up 4th level, which is a fun level, especially for the fact that with the Strength of Thousands, you guys are getting an extra class level, though only a free one, only if you put it into what you dedicated yourselves to when you started at the school. So that might be Wizard or Druid, I think. I can't recall specifically which ones you guys. And I have the page open here, so I can tell you what it means if you have now taken a 2nd level in Druid dedication.
well, we automatically get the feat for free, is my understanding.
Yes, you're getting essentially an extra class feat at this level. You still get your normal class and a feat at this level, but you're also getting a feat that you can then only spend on this dedication that you took at 1st level.
Yes.
So it'll be like the level 4 feat in the Druid dedication or the level 4 feat in the Wizard dedication. And we can go through with that, and we can discuss that. I think it'll be an interesting insight into the dedications and these specific classes. So we're gonna have fun with that. Before we begin, though, does anyone have any specific questions about going to level 4 or leveling up? Because I know this is still a little new to like Zoe.
Haha, you say little, you know. Funny.
Well, I think you're getting the hang of this.
Funny joke. No, I think we could jump right in.
All right.
All right. So, remind me, what was the dedication y'all took at level 1?
Igora took the Druid dedication.
Okay.
Wizard.
Yes. And
All
I can
right,
actually...
so Will, for level 4 Druid dedication, is called the Basic Wilding, which just means you get a 1st or 2nd level Druid feat.
Yes, and
I'm sure
for
there's
the
something
Basic
interesting
Wilding, Igora picked up the Animal Companion feat, which is now allowed our lovely rooster Choco to come into the fight and be an animal companion. And now the fun thing about Choco is...
Chocolate.
Wizard.
Wizard.
You're a wizard, Ari.
So, the fun thing about Choco is that they are a new animal companion type from the Grand Bazaar book. It's the Pathfinder Lost Omens Grand Bazaar book. It has a whole bunch of shops in it that people can go through. And if you're watching our Wednesday night game, you actually saw some of the shops from that book in our Wednesday game the week before last week. Like, the familiar place was actually like one of these pre-made shops.
Oh.
But Choco is a, and I just have to scroll through it, terror bird.
What?
Yes, Choco is a terror bird animal companion. Is a large species of flightless carnivorous avian. It's a large size. They have a beak attack. They have a talon attack. They have a good amount of hit points, and they have the special tag mount.
Oh.
I'm looking at the actual monster entry for this, and I will allow this, though the picture itself looks a tad more like, say, like a dinosaur bird.
I love that.
I
love dinosaur birds.
And then there's also the support benefit, which we'll get into when I'm actually playing it. But your terror bird screeches at your enemies when you create an opening. Until the start of your next turn, your strikes that deal damage to a creature within your terror bird's reach make the target flat-footed until the start of your next turn.
Are you looking at the Pathfinder version 1, Will?
No, I'm looking at I have the book in front of me for the version 2.
Oh, the one I'm looking on in archives it doesn't have it has sprint, it has...
That's the Pathfinder
tearing...
1 version.
Is it?
Yes.
Huh. Oh, that's what I get for just Googling it. Anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, so we have the lovely terror bird. Eventually, as the terror bird levels up, I will get access to things like the Tearing Clutch, which lets me make a beak strike with the bird, and on a successful hit, the target takes 2d6 persistent bleed damage.
To be fair, also, Will, we're going to have to explain how he's now large size.
Yeah, Igora fed it some food.
Him grow.
We've been
my monster grow.
We have been
Grow.
feeding this. We have been overfeeding this bird for some time. I think it makes sense that they're now large.
Just as a similar vein, though, for those who took the wizard dedication, you also get what's called basic arcana, which means you get a first or second level wizard feat. And the first and second level wizard feats, there are some interesting utility ones in there. Like you could also have a familiar. You could get reach spell, widen spell, cantrip expansion. There's also some more crunchy ones that I'm not sure would be terribly good picks for you guys unless you really want to go deep into like counterspell. And counterspell works different in Pathfinder than it does in
5e.
5e. I think you have to know the spell that you're trying to counter.
Yes, which is why a cleric villain multiclassed into the wizard dedication with counterspell that stops healing can be really bad. Not that I've built one.
Power game. I'm joking.
Are you?
I enjoy this in the chat, Mark. This is making me really wish I'd gotten into playing this AP as a rogue who was faking being a spellcaster. I don't think you could actually get into this AP without having some levels. I think that's the purpose of that first level dedication. You have to take a druid or wizard level. You do have to have some spellcasting.
But they give it to you for free, which is nice. So, like, you could totally go full rogue and then just not have to worry about...
Yeah.
Like, the whatever else you get is just kind of extra.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm sorry, McKenna, which dedication did you take?
Wizard.
Okay, so Will is the only one who took druid.
I'm
Yeah,
the
I think so.
only hippie frog loving flower power here.
So,
Like flowers?
to specify, though, McKenna, your familiar is a witch class feature, though, right? It's not from, like, a first-level dedication wizard?
Yes.
Okay.
The familiar is something that you get automatically as a witch. It's basically like a wizard's spell book as far as...
Yeah, it's the conduit to your patron.
Exactly. It's the conduit to the patron. It's also the conduit to magic in general. Sort of. If the familiar dies or is kidnapped, it doesn't mean that you can't cast spells.
So can't learn any new ones, probably.
Theoretically, no. But this level, I get improved familiar.
Yes, and I was going to ask if enhanced and familiar would actually work.
Enhanced...
Because here's the thing. The witch, your familiar is part of your witch subclass, but the enhanced familiar would be... we're talking about enhanced familiar, the wizard feat, or are you talking about a witch one?
I think
so
with
you can get enhanced familiar through the witch feat tree as a second level.
Which you can do, because this wizard one is a bonus.
Yes, and you do get a witch feat at second level. I kind of forgot which one I took. I took my basic lesson, which is
well.
what...
I will say the only prerequisite for enhanced familiar is a familiar.
Okay,
Improved
that makes
familiar
sense.
doesn't even have that. Improved familiar doesn't even have the familiar being a prerequisite, and nor does it have enhanced familiar as a prerequisite.
Yeah.
It just says you find it easy to attract a powerful and unusual familiar to your side. The number of abilities required to make your familiar a specific familiar is 2 lower than normal, which I don't really know what that means.
Question,
For
is that what
example-
you're taking for the wizard feat?
No, that's what I'm taking for my witch feat.
Oh, we're talking
That
about
sounded a little better in the witch one.
Yeah, we're talking about the free wizard feat that you get right now.
Well,
Well, he
we're
was
talking
asking
about all
about
sorts of
both.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it did seem like there was going to be a bit of a cross wires if she'd have a familiar due to a witch class feature, but then was using a wizard feat to improve it. I'm like,
No.
I'm not sure that works.
It does.
I'm using my. I mean, theoretically, I don't.
I mean, theoretically, technically, it could be because, as Will pointed out, the only prerequisite is having a familiar.
Yes.
And
But-
if you are using your magic to enhance a familiar, I don't necessarily think it would matter if
No.
the familiar came from the patron or not. Maybe if your patron is like very specific about how and when you're allowed to use your magic.
Yeah.
But so far, my patron has seemed a little. He or they does not seem especially particular about how and when I use my magic.
I hope to get a bit more into that. As you've made a bit of a name for yourself, that your familiar might take a more active role in conveying your patron's
And
interests.
especially once I do this. So the required number of abilities is 4, which means it is now 2 for me for improved familiar. And I think that means I can take the specific familiar that I want. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Because I'm trying to find where it says how many abilities
Well-
I'm allowed to have.
While you're looking through that, because you at least have the book in front of you, I'm not sure if Zoe has this stuff in front of her.
Of course not.
I have all
You
the books in
One
front of me.
person have this.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I'm on. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Oh, I'm on there.
I'm just wondering, do you have does anything strike you right away that you might be interested in? I know reach spell can be good. Wide spell could be good if you want to get more bang out of your sound burst, for instance. Because I know sound burst for a AoE spell, the range is pretty small actually for the burst. It's only like a 10-foot burst.
Yeah, it's pretty whittle.
Yeah. Though I do believe that reach and widen are an action actually, so it's not just like this is passively upgrading all your stuff.
Mhm. Yeah, I feel like with keeping up Bard Song, that would be.
Oh, you know, no, yeah, okay, yeah, it's got the action symbol. Yeah, though, depending on what particular, though I suppose if you're taking this as a wizard feat, your cantrip expansion would be for the wizard, the arcane cantrips.
Yes.
I don't know, like, I'm not super familiar with the arcane tree, actually. I'm not sure if they have a lot of good cantrips.
They have electric arc.
Yes, but she already has that, I'm sure.
Nar.
No?
Nar.
Well, you could take cantrip expansion and you would get 2 additional cantrips each day. So you could add electric arc and... Well, actually, yeah, because this would then give you some wizard ones, I think, because I don't think you have any arcane cantrips yet. Yours are occult because you're a bard, I think, right?
Well, the wizard dedication gave you a couple of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But
Quick.
you know, there might be some also other fun things. Like I know the Advanced Player's Guide only has Spellbook Prodigy, so that's probably not all that useful.
Shift.
But yeah, so from the Wizard Dedication at level 1, you get the Arcane DC, which is intelligence based. And then you got Arcana, boom, and you got 2 cantrips from that are arcane. So that would give you some more cantrips. Although, like, for a wizard, like, the wizard tree has, like, some of the most easily accessible meta magic feats in the game.
Mhm.
Which are incredibly helpful.
Though I suppose it all does boil down to what you are still considering your role in the party to be. You want to have some more general kind of abilities, or do you really want to buckle down on your excellent buffing that you've been doing?
Buff.
So,
And also, do you know what also could be a very fun thing? It's a level 2 wizard feat, but I don't know. How's your training in deception, Zoe?
I want to say it's not.
Ah, fair enough.
I mean, it's decent. It's all right.
Conceal spells there too, which is a very fun, at least flavorful feat. It doesn't give you like the most. I will say it's not the most useful when it comes to like bang for your buck, but it's a fun feat.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and in social situations, it could be incredibly clutch
Yes.
if you need to cast a spell and not make it obvious that you're going wooga 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 in someone's
You
face.
woogity woogity woogity.
Yeah,
You're
what
like,
are you
why are you
doing?
singing? Why are you singing now?
That would actually have an interesting bit of crossover because a lot of your magic as a bard is vocal and, you know, auditory based. It's in a different school, but if you were to take conceal spell, I could be persuaded to believe that you could then disguise the fact that your songs are magical, perhaps. That doesn't seem unreasonable to me in terms of kind of a crossover in terms of spell stuff.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Just don't go, kidnapping an entire town's worth of children with a panpipe or something.
Damn it.
Also, Matt.
I just wanted the rats.
And they were all they had to do was pay me.
Pay the piper. That was good.
You guys ever hear the story someone tells this one guy the story of the boy who cried wolf? And at the end he's like, and you really think that's the moral of the story? Like, yes, what else it could be? Never tell the same lie twice.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Very fair, very fair.
Now, what is
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
for like familiar stuff? If you're picking a specific familiar, and say that you have like a leftover ability, do you add it or?
So yes.
Does it not matter because it's a specific familiar? And
You can
kinda
add
get
it.
bonus stuff with them anyway.
You get more additional stuff, and because you're a witch, currently at your base level, normally you would only get 2 familiar master abilities a day. However, because you're a witch, you get 3. So you get 1 extra. If you were to take the wizard feat of enhanced familiar, you would get up to 5.
So theoretically, yes. So basically, with improved familiar, the number of abilities required to make your familiar a specific familiar is 2 lower than normal. So I have 3. This familiar normally costs 4, but it now costs 2. So I would theoretically have an additional ability. Correct?
Give your cat horns.
Am I doing the
Nice.
cat math? Am I doing the cat math right?
Yes.
How many
Okay.
glasses knocked off the table?
1. I have one glass knocking ability left.
Oh.
Ooh, fun. Bespell weapon. I love that.
So, like, drop the mic, and that energy would go into the battle loot.
I do
It would
love
be
that.
kind of cool.
That would be exceptionally cool.
And to be fair, it would add a nice bit of extra oomph on your battle loot, which, without a strength
Needs
bonus, you are lacking a little bit in terms of damage.
I want to whack more things.
Though
Don't we
it should be
all?
noted that the one tricky thing about this is that you do essentially have to combo it with having made an attack or
Mhm.
casting a spell. So,
Right.
which admittedly you might be doing anyway to keep up Bard Song,
Mhm.
which I think is
Yeah.
is Bard Song transmutation.
The normal prerequisites for dedications don't necessarily apply with this AP, right? As like a bonus dedication.
Yes.
Oh
Yes,
no,
they
of course.
do, or yes, I'm correct, they do not.
Yes, you're correct. They do not.
Okay. I was looking at that and I was like, prerequisites intelligent 14. That would kind of suck if you were doing like the barbarian or the rogue who's snapping up that extra feat. That'd be kind of a bummer.
You are correct, Mark. And this is very obvious in retrospect. Inspire Courage is an enchantment spell. So, with Dispel Weapon, that would... Oh, that's interesting. Your battle loot would then do mental damage.
Ooh.
Which,
Straight
to be fair,
the temples.
to be fair, while some creature types are just outright immune to mental damage, like constructs, for instance, not a lot of creatures are resistant to mental damage. So, and plus, often it's very obvious when something is a construct, so you're just like, I'm not even going to bother.
Right, versus like physical damage, which is that's pretty easy to...
And in the spell weapon's defense, while you do have to sort of combo it with something else, it doesn't take an extra action. It's a free action just to whip up that extra magic in the air and stick it in your battle loot. So
Neat.
it's not a bad idea, honestly.
That is neat.
An extra 1d6 of mental damage. I don't know why I thought of this, but it's like from the really old Simpsons episode when Bart asks Sideshow Bob to sing him the entire score of the HMS Pinafore, and he's like, "Very well, Bart. I shall send you to heaven before I send you to hell. I shall sing Bart's song and then beat you with the music."
Wee.
Will, you were telling me about the like witch wizard dedication combo.
Yes.
Oh boy.
The disgusting... For our D&D 5e players, this is coffee lock levels of system abuse.
Which is a munchkin build I
I would-
played IRL.
I would shake my head, but I'm the one who came up with the freaking corner / risky surgery / assurance for medicine to just do absurd healing damage with chip.
So one of the options that you can...
barbarian that casts haste on themselves, but that works.
That almost never comes up, though, sadly. We never get into it. Nothing lives long enough for that to really help.
Don't give them any ideas.
So at level 4 McKenna, with the wizard feat, you can take the level 4 feat basic wizard spellcasting.
Your tea just fell back.
Now what this does is it gives you the basic spellcasting benefits, and each time you gain a spell slot for a new level from the wizard archetype, you add 2 common spells of that level to your spellbook. Now what the basic spellcasting is, that's on page 219 of the core rulebook. And this is where things get a little bit gross, because they basically give you a first level spell slot, and then at 6th level they give you an additional 2nd level spell slot. Now because you're a witch and you use intelligence as your modifier, as does a wizard, it's effectively an extra spell slot.
Interesting.
And then eventually you can take the spell... you can take the Arcane Breath feat at level 8, which gives you 2 spell slots every time instead of 1. So you effectively can almost... Well, we'll put it this way. A witch at max gets 3 spell slots per level, so you can almost double the amount of spell slots that you gain.
Which is really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Especially for prepared casters, where it's not just like, oh... Because prepared casters in 5e, it's like, okay, I'm preparing these spells today, but I can still cast them in whichever order I like. Like, if I prepare Stone Shape and Blight, I can cast Blight 3 times and use all of my spell slots on it. Whereas prepared caster Pathfinder, you have to be like, okay, I'm preparing Stone Shape and Blight. I'm doing 1 preparation of Stone Shape and 2 of Blight, which is a little clunky. It's not my favorite.
And then with the benefits of this, because we're doing this AP, and this AP will take us to 20, if you continue down that tree, eventually you'll get the Master Spellcasting feat, which will give you, if you go down this feat tree, 3 additional spell slots from every level from 1 to 8th level. So it will double your spells.
Zoe.
Mm-hmm.
Remind me, are you a Maestro or Polymath Muse?
Polymath Muse.
Okay. So, in addition to your wizard thing, I'm also looking at the bard feats for level 4, and there is one specific to the polymath muse at level 4, versatile signature,
Ooh.
which is actually potentially really good, because every day when you do your daily preparations, you can change one of your signature spells to a different level from your repertoire, different spell of that level. So if you feel like, I may need to cast a lot of this spell today, you can switch around the one that you can just, change any of your daily casts to, which can be very helpful, especially since bards don't get a lot of spell slots per level. I think it maxes out at 3 or 4.
But they're spontaneous casters, I think.
They are, and you do have your bard things that you can cast as cantrips, which helps. But still, the versatility can be nice.
Plus, with the the esoteric polymath, I have a wizard spellbook essentially. So
is it like a folio of sheet music?
It is like a folio of sheet music. Yeah, it's her book of spells, but it's music.
A few more staccatos here that'll make their heads explode.
Suddenly gay. I don't know if you guys have seen that piece of music that just says "suddenly gay."
Or European.
That's throwback. But yeah, let's see. So
I have seen so many.
I feel like
so many animated videos people have made of that song from different fandoms.
That's so true.
I think one was about Venti.
Of course it was. Why? Of course it was.
Will.
Venti's best Arcana.
Why is the basic spellcasting feat different in the book than it is on Roll20? I think that's goofy.
Is your book first edition of the second edition?
You say such silly words, you fancy man.
Anti-disestablishmentarianism.
It's Magic Man.
I
like your fancy words, Magic Man. Initially, everyone, that was going to be Igara's. That was going to be how Igara spoke.
God.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he was going to be right down with the Aussie. Oh, that's a bloody cult thing right there. It is, eh? Hey,
Did
proper.
you try that on the first?
See, well,
Section?
here's the funny thing. The quote you're using with that voice, I like your words, Magic Man, is not an Australian accent. It's freaking JFK.
Yeah, I know.
Which is far from Australian.
I know. My brain just goes to Australian for that.
Where is JFK from? Is it like New England? No.
Australia, apparently.
Crikey.
Down under.
Down under.
JFK was actually taken out by a rogue boomerang.
I mean, then there was me.
I'm sure it was a kangaroo, actually.
I mean, those things...
They're scary.
We're in so many tangents tonight, but I don't care. It's a relaxed session.
Yeah.
Kangaroos, one of their big defense mechanisms is to run into a river, and then when the thing's chasing them, to turn around and drown their pursuer in the river. They will push you under the water and drown you.
They already look scary.
They kind of do. They are.
And then you're gonna tell
Some
me that.
And we're not
might
even talking
say
about
that
the emus,
they
which
are.
beat Australia in a war.
Some might say that kangaroos are ruthless.
I don't like that.
Well, we come from Winnipeg. Winnie the Pooh knows a kangaroo family, and he finds that offensive.
That's fair. I thought that was good.
A bear will come to your house, and after getting unstuck from your window...
Hey, bears have come to our house before. Don't joke about that.
Where do you live?
Westwood.
Charleswood? Oh, okay.
Frigging Canada.
In Canada, Matt, haven't you ever had a bear outside your igloo?
I mean, not
Sorry,
since I got the air horns.
Oh no! See, we had to throw
Air
double
horns?
doubles at it till it left.
Oh Lord. This is taking me back to Rick Mercer's Talking to Americans.
Do you guys want to know We're going off so tangent. Do you guys want to know what my mom and I call double doubles?
Go for it.
I'm assuming when we say double doubles, we're talking about In-N-Out burgers.
Yeah.
So what are the Canadians talking about? Because I know damn well it's not an In-N-Out burger.
Coffee with 2 cream, 2 sugar.
Nope. Double double is a burger, but my mom and I call them boodle boodles.
Boodle boodle.
Can I get a boodle booty beast chorgler?
How do they respond to that at the drive-thru?
They don't.
They ask us politely to leave.
They're like, oh, it's you again.
McKenna, question for you.
For you.
Are you going to plan on making use of the Alter Dwemer ability at all on your new Dwemer cub?
I hope to. I think I delicately danced around exactly which familiar I was choosing for our live studio.
Which isn't hard. You are very small and a tiny bat person, so dancing lightly is very easy for you.
I have a decent dex score.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so for the folks following along at home, Alter Dwemer is the Dwemer Cat Cub ability that gives you like a really fun list of effects. And I think you can choose. So the cat needs to be in range of a spell that was just cast. And depending on what spell was cast, they get a different ability for 1d4 rounds. For Abjuration, the cub gains a +1 status bonus to AC. For Conjuration, a cloud of fog appears in a 5-foot burst centered on a corner of the cub's face. Anything in the cloud is concealed. Divination, the cub gains a +1 bonus to skill checks. For Enchantment, it gets a +1 bonus to saves. Evocation, magical feedback, deals 1d6 force damage for every 2 levels you have to the triggering spellcaster. Illusion, the cub becomes invisible, which I love that. I love that anytime you cast an illusion spell on this cat, it just goes, psych, it just disappears. And that lasts until the cub takes a hostile action. Necromancy, the cub gains temporary HP equal to your level. And finally, Transmutation, the cub gains a +1 status bonus to attack rolls. I don't know how much I'm going to be using that because I don't typically put my familiars in range of things that get attacked.
It also has Detect Magic innately.
Yes, it does. Which is interesting that it says it has a first level Detect Magic, which I believe is a cantrip, so I don't know why it says first level.
Oh, Detect Magic.
I guess technically cantrips are first level.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, it can be heightened, so it is just a first level Detect Magic.
Just to bring our subtext up into the text. So why do you think you can't use Charm?
What? Oh, I mean, the times that I have tried to use it, you guys are like, oh, that's not, that doesn't do anything.
Well, no, Charm is just, it is often not, if you're fighting in a big group, it's not often the best thing to do in combat, for instance, because Charm only sort of improves their attitude towards you, but only you specifically. If you're trying to get around, like, someone who's being very difficult in, like, giving you information, or someone you would need to distract or something, Charm can be very useful. Charm just, because it is not a, you belong to me now kind of spell, you have to be very selective about its uses. Dominate is the big spell that everyone is afraid that will be cast on the barbarian as soon as the fight starts.
Yes.
Because then they can just order the person around for a long time and they will do almost anything, and that's a problem. Charm, you just have to be more clever about.
I do love dominating a barbarian.
I have to say it like that.
No, you really did have to say it like that, apparently.
I did. Listen,
I will admit, I started thinking today, and then I kind of slammed my head into the ground. I'm like, I'm going to write a romantic little short story about Garl on Valentine's Day, because I got nothing going on.
Aww.
I love that energy for you.
Give us more Garl outfits.
Oh, we should probably at some point, chat. I have a confession. We make fan art for our own characters and post them in like the staff Discord, and every time I do it, I'm like, I should post this in the fan art for our main Discord, and then I don't.
And I don't.
You are robbing them of excellent art.
It's true.
But it's
Well, I just did.
Well, thank you. But it's very fun. Matt had a very fancy drawing of Garl in a New Year's dress that I.
To be fair, I posted that to most of my socials.
Yeah.
Spicy spice.
One of my family felt it was too lewd. I'm like, what?
It's a little spicy.
Have you seen the internet?
Yes, Matthew, I have seen the internet. Wouldn't you believe
Internet
that I am
sounds
on it
rather
right
spicy.
now?
I don't believe you. We're on the gramophone.
Gramophone. Doo, doo, doo.
All right, but let's continue on with the leveling up.
Yes.
process.
All right. So, Will, you're done.
Yeah, I'm fully leveled up. If you want, I can go through what Igora
So-
took and everything.
Zoe, do you want to go with the spell weapon for your level 4 free wizard feat?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll add that to your character sheet.
Look at me making decisions.
Yeah, I mean, why not? So I'm just going to quickly close all these things you were reading. And I'm going to put this in bonus feats because that's what we're going to call this.
Boner feet.
No, that is a very different thing. You're not that kind of bard.
Says you. Only Zoe knows what kind of bard Zoe's
That's
gonna be. And maybe she wants
That's-
to be a boner feet bard.
Gotta
Sick.
seduce that tavern keeper's daughter.
Make that gold piece somewhere. Holy moly.
Oh god.
Oh, there's.
Also, if you get the chance, people, watch the Legend of Vox Machina on Amazon. Start your 30-day trial to watch it for free.
And
Only
when you start that
one
30-day
single
trial,
balls.
come here and subscribe to the channel with the Twitch Prime free subscription. And if you haven't already used that and want to throw a little tip our way, please don't forget to subscribe with Twitch Prime. And that's me being a shill.
I mean, you know, I respect the hustle. I don't know.
The hustle. We live for the hustle. We die by the hustle.
I don't know if I die by the hustle.
Don't die by the hustle. That ain't
Okay,
worth
okay.
it.
We
It ain't
get
worth it.
we get really sleepy by the hustle. Is that
Now.
better?
For your level 4 bard feat. This one is pretty heavy with the ones that based on your muse, so there's not actually a lot of choices. I wouldn't recommend combat reading.
What? That was the one that I wanted. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you threw
I'm
me for a second
sorry,
there.
I am really not
Um,
making this easy for you. I never do.
This is what I'm here for. You guys are here to test me and help me grow. I did want to mention, though, I'm not pushing for this one necessarily, but it appears bards do have their own version of the conceal spell, except it's specifically tied to performance checks. The feat is called Melodious Spell. Basically, you make a performance check, and if you succeed, you can cast a spell and just pass it off as you playing your music. Admittedly,
Oh.
if it does something like shoot a fireball at someone, you're not going to be able to conceal that. But if you're doing something like charm person, for instance,
Charm
yeah,
or
Admittedly, if-
unseen servant.
potentially yes, especially since then it would be unseen once you actually cast it.
Double unseen.
Unseen and unheard. Let's go.
I mean, it's one of those spells that, depending on circumstance, you may never have a use for, or it could become incredibly useful that 1 or 2 times.
Ooh.
It's
What does speeding up your allies for a round entail?
triple time. I believe that just gives you another. It gives you another composition cantrip, and that means everyone within 60 feet of you for a round gains plus 10 foot to their movements eventually.
Ah, it's a feat about moving your feet faster. Okay.
Yeah. So, much like there's a feat at this level, I think it's for a different muse though, where you can give everyone around you +1 to saving throws of any kind and to their ACs. The Song of Defense.
Which Mark has been making use of immensely to good effect in our Abomination Vaults AP that I've been running for him.
Let's see. No, that is Inspired Defense is the Maestro Muse.
Gotcha.
So, fortunately, I don't think you have access to that one.
Honestly, yeah, I'm very curious in the Melodious spell. I think that would be really fun.
I mean, it does lean into your performancing.
Mhm.
Performancing is not a word.
It is now.
Okay. I'm not going to argue with you.
I like it. Oh yes, you third.
And especially for you, though, I'm more than willing to maybe do a little retraining later on if we find something isn't working, because you are new to this especially amongst this group. So, and I'm a forgiving DM. Will let me change characters halfway through an AP. So,
Ooh. Pay it forward.
to a bard actually.
Oh wow. Okay. Nice.
I don't know. APs are fun, but you should be allowed to play what you want.
I think everybody needs that reminder sometimes.
It doesn't need to be heavily optimized. It just needs to be something you enjoy playing. As long as you enjoy playing it, that's all that matters. It's a game after all. Nothing more, nothing less.
We are here to ensure that as many people as possible in the group have fun. There needs to be structure, obviously, like, oh, I want to completely redo my spell list every week. I mean, you could play a cleric.
Which, once again, are actually really powerful in PF2, and please, people, try clerics. They're fun, they're not just heal bots.
Don't let the character I'm going to play in the Pathfinder Society games fool you. They are not heal bots. I will be playing a heal bot, not literally, but...
Back to bards and mechs, or bots and mechs.
Yes, that is true, Squishy. I did try very hard at one point to make a Kryptonian homebrew ancestry for you. Didn't get flying until the end of the campaign because that flying is very overpowered.
That's valid. But yeah, I'll go with the Melodious spell for that.
All right. I will input that for you.
Melodious spell casting.
Decide what I want for a feat. Because we get a skill feat this level as well.
Yes. Skill feats are also interesting.
Quite honestly, I have no idea what I want.
Again, decision
don't forget,
indecision.
Depending on the level you are with your school, you might also, with your school classes, you might also get an additional feat.
Keep in mind, I read up on this. The school, like our branch level, does not go up with our level.
Nope, it goes up with our
Specific, we
study.
need to do study time.
Yep.
Which the books, apparently, according to what it says, will specifically say when we have the opportunity for study time. It's often because the study time is apparently supposed to be like a month.
Yeah.
So.
To be fair, when our last study time happened, Igura did get very far.
Yes, you guys got some good rolls, and you made good use of some of your fellow students' bonuses they can give you if you join them for a study group.
What do I get for being a first level branch in the Emerald Boughs? Because I don't know if I put that on my...
I think the first level is pretty similar for all of them, but I will check.
Matt, whilst you're checking that, I'm going to talk about what Igura got this level, because there's a bit of a list. So number 1 for their class feat, they took tandem movement, which will allow me to, when I expend one movement to stride, also let Gamma stride at the same time. Then for skill feats, I took Assurance Medicine, so now I just auto-succeed on medicine checks to heal people. I don't need to roll anymore, I just succeed. I have a high enough bonus, we're good. And then because we hit level 4, I unlocked a whole bunch of the studying stuff. So for example, I got the Magambia Attendant last level for both of the Igra's classes. But more importantly, for the Sunbros, I got an additional intimidation feat because we hit level 4, and I'm at the 4th stage of that. And I picked up the group coercion.
So, McKenna, can I get your question again? I finally have the materials in front of me.
Yep.
I just want the first level Emerald Boughs branch affiliation.
Well, the first level is the additional lore, and the lores that Emerald Boughs have, it's specific settlement, such as the Ntambu lore, which you already have.
Maybe I already did do that one then. What was it for Cascade Bearers?
Cascade Bearers is academia lore. So you could,
Okay.
you join that one club at school that's all about just learning the history of the school.
So I already did that. Good to know, good to know.
Our little witch in academia.
I still don't know what I want for feats.
Well, there are some standby feats depending on what you already have for skills.
Mm-hmm.
Like I always hate bringing this up, but I just bring it up every time. If you have training in it, nothing wrong with maybe getting assurance in a particular skill. It really is only that useful once you get to the basic, level 10 in the thing, so you can hit that nice 20, especially for medicine. But
Right. Well, because I have training in crafting, I have expertise in occultism, but I'm trying to think of what I have that I would need assurance in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Admittedly, mostly when I think of assurance, I think of medicine, because medicine, you want to make sure you don't waste the action in, especially in the middle of combat, if you're doing battle medicine. As also another example, if you have medicine, maybe pick up battle medicine.
Right.
That's a skill feat.
I do think I have that.
I have that. I have that built. We have assurance. We have battle medicine. And then next level, I'll start getting the continual recoveries and the ward recoveries, so our out of combat healing will just speed up a bunch. Or crit fail medicine. Yeah, so there was a theory craft that I did a while back for a perfectly legal society character that broke every rule of society.
Oh.
And effectively what they would do is they would purposely crit fail medicine checks to try to... Yeah. It was bad. It's like, if you want to kill your entire party, here's how you do it.
Oh, no.
Zoe.
Sips my tea.
Delightful. You also get a skill feat at this level as well. We've gone through your bard feat, we've gone through your wizard dedication feat, so you have a skill feat left to pick for this level. There's not actually a lot of feats connected to performance, but you have access to all but one of them at this level already. I don't think you want to take juggle.
I'm seriously considering it now.
There's also distracting performance, which you can create a diversion for your ally.
I felt like I saw that before.
Yeah.
I was excited about it. Let's see.
Yeah. Basically, you get to use your performance check when you're trying to aid an ally to create a diversion, rather than rolling deception. So you can, leverage your good performance check rather than having to worry about deception.
Let's see.
That was an old bard feat from first edition, where bards could just use performance for a number of different skills instead of their actual skills. Yeah, it's nice. There's not a lot of feats associated with performance, so your choice isn't too crazy. Or, battle medicine.
More battle medicine. I mean, it is nice that I have him healing to at least, if Igor is down, get them back up for real heals.
Yeah.
It's fine
It's nice to have
eventually.
a little kit.
Eventually, as I progress through this thing, I'm going to end up with Igora having, I think it's effectively 6 actions around. It's going to be a good time.
Very neat.
Nice.
What is that?
Just with all the animal companions and summons that we'll have. But yeah.
I
Let's
could
see.
grab recognize spell, but we kind of already know what is being casted as because of the 20, unfortunately.
Let's see. Are you going to grab Unified Theory eventually, McKenna?
Unified Theory, which one is that?
It's a very high level
Yeah.
feat, but it's an Arcana feat that basically lets you use Arcane for everything. To recall knowledge, etc.
Is it just Arcane?
Yeah, there's one called Unified Theory. It's a 15th level feat, so you won't get it for some time, but it just lets you use Arcana for checks for all magical traditions.
I was looking at the right thing.
It helps, like, there's a lot on that page. It helps if you pick a specific one at the top, like,
Well-
performance or medicine or something.
What's your favorite skill you have, Zoe?
My favorite skill that
Yeah.
I have?
What's your favorite skill?
I don't really know. Why do you ask?
Ah, I'm just
To pick
curious,
a- to pick a
because
skill.
then I could help you with feet picking.
Feet picking, gross.
Oh.
That's not allowed on Twitch.
Icky.
Probably.
Actually, I think it decidedly is.
Hey,
No, I think
hey,
it literally,
hey.
you're not allowed to show people's feet on Twitch.
Really? I mean, good.
Yes.
Like, that does surprise me that they have such discerning.
I mean, real feet. I've seen VTuber feet a lot.
Ooh.
Jesus.
Yeah, because we could get you something like, you could grab Virtuistic Performance to give you a +1 in a performance type of your choice.
You know, I'm not super hot on that one. It seems like taking a whole feat just to give you a +1.
+1. It can help you crit succeed on your sustaining bard checks. There's Fascinating Performance, which lets you basically draw a bunch of attention to yourself with your performances. Impressive Performance, which lets you make impressions with performance instead of diplomacy.
Especially since you're not trained in diplomacy, actually.
Yeah, I feel like
And the chat makes a good point, and this is sort of the foundation of a lot of Bard stuff, too. Every +1 helps.
It does.
Every +1 helps.
Bard Song has proved that
me
over
in
and
every
over again.
fight.
Yeah.
That's fine.
But like
That's
for
fine.
real though,
Yep.
That's
It's-
fine.
You have to keep doing it. Like, you have to keep reminding people, but it helps.
Yeah.
it saved
And
our
no one
life
begrudges
already.
you for it.
Just happy to be helpful.
It's already saved our life in this game. I can count like 4 times. So
Yay.
And it always feels so clutch when, like, oh, but +1.
Yeah, maybe impressive performance. Because you're right, diplomacy.
Let's
I
just take
feel
a
like
read.
it was we were doing one of the community service acts for the lady that got the wrong mail or something. And
Oh, yeah,
we
that
go talk
lady.
to her, and then I tried to smooth things over with her, and she's like, "No, hate you,
Hate you.
hate you."
You know what? I'll put impressive performance in there for now. If we figure something out much more kind of cool later, we can maybe fix it. Change things up.
Yeah, with distracting. I think either that one or distracting performance
both of them are solid.
or fascinating. I have to think on it. I'll think on
Yeah. Take your time.
Oh, and Zoe, I'm not going to do it myself, but if you want, you can go to the top of your character sheet and change that 3 to a 4 for your level,
it.
and watch as everything goes up a little bit.
That's so exciting. How exciting. Go. Nothing changed. Oh, okay, there it goes. It took a second. No, literally, I was staring right at my health. I was like, that should at least change.
How often would potion making be a thing?
I mean, you could join a potion making club at school.
Is that a real
Should
thing?
make one.
I can make one, McKenna. I can
Well,
make
the
this
reason-
your school life you've dreamed of.
The reason I ask is because there is the seasoned feat, which gives you a +1 to craft food or drink, including potions. Which sounds fun for like a witch. I like the flavor of it, but I just don't know how useful it's going to be realistically.
I mean, if we do have to do the occasional downtime thing,
Mm-hmm.
I'm more than happy to let you guys, make your own potions at some point. You go to the special club room with the teacher advisor. Miss Avi Avi, local celebrity.
Alright, that was good. I'll give you that.
That was good. That was a good Rickman.
Very nice.
But there are also like the society skill feats that I always think are very fun.
We do live in a society.
We do live in a society,
We
but
live
if
in
you
a
wanted
society.
to engage with that society in a more varied way, there is multilingual. If I wanted 2 additional languages on top of the 6 Avi already knows.
That languages is another thing that it doesn't come up a lot, but when it does, you can be very grateful. Like, you guys were in a way kind of lucky that Binji spoke Undercommon.
That's true. That might be something worth investing in then. There's also read lips, which can sometimes be fun. There's sign language, which I love that it's in here, but doesn't come up all that often in my experience. And then streetwise, where you can use society to gather information. But most of the gather social informations, we already are allowed to use society checks, so that seems a little silly. Usually when we go out to Nantambu to gather information, society is one of the things listed that we're allowed to roll.
Yes. Because you are going out into society, and it helps to know stuff.
I could grab multilingual.
You could.
Are there languages that are more relevant than others? I mean, I could learn Undercommon.
In the player's guide that I sent you way back when, there's a list of languages they suggest you take.
I think I have the listed languages.
Yeah, the assumption of a common language is useful for any campaign, and the Strength of Thousands Adrenaline path is no different. In this campaign, references to the common language refer to the Mwangi rather than Taldane. When you gain common as a default starting language, consider it to be Mwangi. You can learn Taldane, but you don't have to. You won't have a lot of use for it. Other useful languages to pick up include Draconic and Sylvan.
Mm-hmm.
People in Nantambu have a local language called Sanamba, which you might also learn.
Do we
It will
want
allow you to pick up when people are swearing at you a lot more.
Do we want a metagame just a little bit?
I don't know.
Because if
I
we
do
look
have
at
those 3.
if we look
Everyone
at
pick a different language.
no,
So
if we
you got all your bases covered.
if we look at the front cover here, we do have these lovely snake people.
Oh, interesting.
I'm not saying anything about that.
And
Gee, Will, whatever. Could they maybe even little possibly speak?
that I don't know off the
Perhaps.
top of my head. I'd have to quickly look through the bestiary to understand what languages they speak. But that could be something that could be useful.
What languages do you know, McKenna?
I currently know, well, McKenna only knows English because she's dumb and didn't do well in Spanish at school.
That's a mood.
Pourquoi?
High school language is a joke.
It's a joke. But the languages Avi knows is Common, Elven, Draconic, Sylvan, Celestial, and Zanba.
Okay.
I think Undercommon would probably be a good one to pick up just like after what we've been doing. I think that would make sense.
How do you take these off? Okay, there we go.
Also, is there a spot where they just list the languages in this thing?
Shouldn't there be some?
There is. I would recommend Undercommon, as that can definitely be something that will be useful to us. But yeah.
I guess I can pick the specifics later.
I'm not going to lie. I'm in the process of planning right now. So, our campaign 2 for the Pathfinder Wednesday night show.
Drawing circles. Are lines over here?
Are we just drawing all over the map?
Or just picking.
The eyeball.
Yes, I'm very excited to make use of the serpent folk in that one. Specifically rattlesnake variants that I've made.
Ooh.
There's a snake in my house. He's come over for tea, and we're having a lovely discussion.
There's a snake wearing boots.
Snake wearing...
I don't know how to feel about this.
Snake wearing crocodile skin boots.
Huh.
This was my cousin.
My. Let's see. What else should I be pondering here?
How many, out of
that's-
curiosity? How
That's
many hit
actually
points?
it for what you need to decide for level 4.
Neat.
You are now a level 4 badass.
How many hit points are we all sitting at? I'm curious.
38.
38.
All right. Ophelia?
38.
Oh, 62.
Ah!
To be fair, I don't think either McKenna or Zoe have any points in con.
Actually, if you want to laugh, y'all, the two of you have the same amount of hit points as my chicken now.
Neat.
That's just life when you are 12 inches tall. That's just how it is.
That's true. And as the tallest person in the party, what's my excuse?
You're just dainty. You're just a little gal.
Oh, to be fair,
Just a little
we
gal.
don't know anything about the new transfer student who's coming in.
Yes.
Oh, this is true.
And also, to be fair, the chicken is a large creature, so...
Oh my
Whoa.
god!
Which
I
is-
cannot believe the chicken is the tallest person in the party.
This is also becoming concerning to the people around campus.
Also, I just want to point out that nowhere in the Age of Lost Omen section of the core rulebook does it list the languages that people speak.
It lists them on page... Give me a second, I'll tell you exactly what page to go
It's
to.
all the lands, and it gives you all of the peoples.
Yeah, I'm not actually able to help in this.
No, this is one of the things that I found that I looked for because I made a character who spoke almost every language in PF2. Let's just make sure I'm not steering you wrong. If you go to page 65, there's a list.
That's a weird list for it.
And it's a full page devoted to languages.
Doesn't that seem like it should be in the lore as opposed to like
Well-
in the back of the ancestry section?
Technically, no. Because part of building your character is choosing, like, once you assign your stats, you get languages equal to your intelligence modifier, so it makes sense that it's at this stage.
I suppose. All right, so I'll grab Undercommon. Do I want to grab an uncommon one? Those are always fun.
I mean, Benji could be tutoring you.
Benji could tutor me. She could tutor me in Undercommon. There are some fun ones here. There are like Terran, which is for Earth elementals. I think it's interesting that the different elementals have different.
I mean, you'd think their home planes would have their own languages.
Yeah, that makes sense because they're completely different planes of existence. But I think in 5e it's exclusively primordial. It's all primordial. I think that's interesting.
Though, what music do you think they listen to on the elemental plane of Earth?
Rock and roll.
Rock music.
No, bluegrass. Why would you think rock?
Anyway, I think the only thing I have left to pick out is spells.
Oh, I suppose I should check bards. Do you get anything more at 4th level? You get 1 more 2nd level spell, though.
That's fun.
So I'm gonna put an empty slot in there for that for now, and then we can.
You know, Matt, if you're in the osmium section of the plane of Earth, you listen to heavy metal. Because osmium is one of the heaviest metals on the periodic table.
You killed it by explaining it well.
You do realize tungsten is the heaviest metal.
It said osmium is one of the heaviest metals.
Right, but if you're gonna go for the I'm just gonna give you a hard time.
That's
Yeah.
fine.
Let's see. So bards are occult casters, I believe. Level 2 spells. Ooh, there's a lot of level 2 spells. Vomit swarm. Oh, goodness.
Good lord.
And to be fair, it's vomit swarm. You vermin erupt in a cone from your mouth.
Yucky.
Icky.
I mean,
We've
it's
had
better than
enough
a-
vermin.
Do you know what's
It's-
great about Vomit Swarm is that it's heightenable.
Oh god.
What goes on in your head on like a day-to-day basis?
Oh, nothing. This is just a spell that's probably going to be seen in the Wednesday night game soon.
You know, it doesn't have a lot of uses, and it's almost useless in combat. But I would almost sometimes tell people not to sleep on calm emotions. Level 2 spell.
Mm-hmm.
Or dispel magic. Dispel magic can be.
No, Dispel Magic is
No?
virtually useless in PF2.
No.
In any time Dispel Magic would be useful for you, 9 out of 10 times it's not usable. Because the rules for disabling a spell effect are so convoluted.
Oh, you already have mirror image. Oh, yeah.
Effectively, if the person that you're trying to dispel is a higher level than you, you can't dispel the spell unless you get a crit success.
Ooh. Zoe, how do you feel about invisibility?
Ooh.
That can have many uses.
That sounds fun.
Also, I'd like to point out, and this is very silly, but technically is legal in the rules. Casting, like, I believe it's... I'm going to double check the rules here, because I think it's... a hostile action breaks invisibility. You could
Yes.
technically... Invisibility and Bard Song,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which you think people would be able to hone in on you based on the fact that you are singing.
That's true, but they are
But-
dumb. Plus, don't I have that other thing now?
Well, no, that's about hiding your spells with song. You would still have to be singing to do that,
Yeah, that's true.
which defeats the point. But
Magic.
invisibility plus, you don't have to do it to yourself. You could make someone else invisible. You could make a tiny little bat invisible. Who would he
Or a
have?
friend who's in great peril.
Whatever
Yeah.
do you mean?
No. we, as have been proven in a few very dangerous situations,
Don't lose that.
having someone invisible and they're like bleeding out or something is a bad time. If they're unconscious and bleeding out and invisible, you're like, oh god, we can heal them easily if we could find them.
If we can find
We,
them.
I'll
I've
just kick
lost.
around.
I've lost a rogue to that.
Good.
No.
All
And
right. I think
There's some decent spells at the second level.
I don't think I get any additional spells from the wizard feat this round, but I do think I get 2 more.
Well, did you take basic spellcaster?
Yeah.
Then yeah, you did. You got
I
an
got
addition,
an additional spell slot
and then you get 2 spells.
per spell level that you gain from the wizard feat.
Yeah, so you just got a level 1 spell slot.
Oh, also restoration. What is that?
Oh, restoration can be very useful.
Can be.
Because I feel like
Because-
all of us, we get hit by things and we're just like, well, nothing we can do about it.
Like, Will's good at healing, but there are things like poisoned, or if you've got like the stupefied condition or something, or
Clumsy,
enfeebled. Yeah,
I
restoration
unfortunately,
can be very useful.
I
And it's
unfortunately,
heightenable.
I unfortunately do not have the feat yet for Igara to treat mental conditions.
Okay.
But eventually we'll get there.
I feel like that would be some lullaby usage there.
And I would, this is just my personal preference too. I think then you have a very good kind of spread for your level 2 spells. You got Sound Burst, which is damage, the Mirror Image, which is defensive, and then Restoration, which is utility and support.
Yeah.
It's a nice mix of spells.
But yeah, McKenna, you would get a first level spell slot and then 2 first level spells.
Right, a first level spell slot. I'm talking about like choosing what spells to know.
Yeah, you get to pick 2 of them.
Yeah. 2 second level spells as for a witch.
And
Very
then 2 first level
cute
spells from your
spell.
wizard feat.
Restoration?
Sonata span.
Oh, is
Cause
that
the
the...
notes of your melody to physically manifest into a shimmering, translucent path.
Cool.
Fun.
It can support as many creatures as can physically fit on the bridge.
Oh, yeah, you make a bridge of music notes.
That's so
Aw, that's
freaking
cool.
cute.
And honestly, that wouldn't be a bad thing to have right now. I don't think anyone else has something like... None of you have a thing that can make people fly. None of you have airwalk.
No.
And it's
not
visually pretty damn cool.
Mm-hmm.
Can
So-
tilt up or down diagonally 45 degrees, but it must be a straight 5-foot wide line. Dang it. For a second, I was like, ooh, we could have the chicken on one side and Gama on one side, and then we could all be on this side, and then they jump really hard, and we just go catapulting.
30
Right.
foot.
There's always things like water breathing and water walk that are like situational.
Really
but-
situational, but...
But fun when they're helpful.
That's what scrolls are for.
Eh.
And potions.
Oh.
You forget scrolls are for eating.
Oh, yeah.
Scrolls are for munching and crunching. That way I know them forever.
It's for Agate to bat them around gently before she finally eats her food.
Agate plays with her food. She would.
I mean, cat of sorts.
Yeah.
All right. For the moment, I put restoration in your character sheet.
Wonderful, thank you.
There's definitely some-
And that's your character is done. Then. With 5 minutes to spare.
Yeah, we just have
Oh,
Abby
wow,
Abby
is
to
that
finish
what
off.
we have?
Well, we don't have to do all this on stream. We're just having a character building jam and some discussion about the campaign.
Mhm.
I am looking forward to this next book. There is going to be some interesting stuff. There's a lot of somewhat different kind of things. Like, we're having another kind of question and answer session almost immediately in this next chapter, where you guys are going to have to think of plausible explanations, outlandish explanations. One has a higher DC or something.
Huh.
It's interesting.
How do we feel about telekinetic maneuver?
It
where
can
you
definitely come in
disarm,
handy.
shove, or trip?
It can definitely come in handy when it comes in handy.
Push someone off a ledge
Push them off a
from a
ledge?
distance.
trip someone psychically.
I do love pushing people around when you have maps that are
What a bully.
conducive. Listen, when you have a map where you get to push someone off of something, that's a fun map. That's a fun time. I like being able to use my environment, and spells like this make that fun for casters who are not like fighter battle masters. You know what I mean? And maybe I'll grab Spider Climb. That might be fun.
Speed spells.
What would happen if Avi cast Shrink on herself?
You
It's
It'll-
reduce a willing creature to tiny size.
I'm not sure there's
Already
something tiny.
yeah, there's not.
we
You
don't
can't
Oh,
go
the
Tiny.
spell has no effect on a tiny. Well, that's no
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, it's not a reduced size thing. It's a reduced thing, something closer to tiny
Mm-hmm.
or too tiny.
Fair enough.
Well, I, for one, am looking forward to next week.
Yeah. I think this is where we'll call it for tonight. So, everyone, thank you all so much for coming to tonight's episode of the Strength of Thousands AP. Our lovely, I'm going to call it the spring break episode.
Not enough drinking. No, don't drink in party. Drink
Our-
responsibly, kids.
Our lovely little spring break episode where we got caught up with what our characters were doing and figured that all out. We are going to go and I guess we'll go say hi to PJ and their group.
Yeah, PJ's thing.
PJ.
Just because that's premiering tonight, so go say hi to them. Otherwise, don't forget to come check out this Wednesday as our party goes to explore a eldritch fishery. And then on Friday, in the Calling Chronicle, they're going to a lovely Fayball. Two very different vibes. So don't forget to check those out. And then join us next week for the start of Book 2. And we'll see you all on the next one. Bye-bye.
Have a good night, everyone.
Bye, you guys.
3, 4, 5, 6,